Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card. Today I'm using the Lila's Heart set again from Simon Says Stamp. I love this set. It's got these cute little girls in it. And I'm going to be using the Falling Rain background stamp as well as the stitched circles and my Inktense pencils. So I'm going to start off by stamping this little girl in my Misty using some VersaFine black onyx ink. I'm using Strathmore 90-pound watercolor paper, and because this is a pigment ink, I'm going to be able to clear emboss on top of it. And then I'm also going to use the same ink for the balloon string, and I'm going to clear emboss that as well. I noticed that I really didn't get her feet stamped very well, but that's okay because I'm going to be cutting that off anyway. So now I'm going to start coloring, and I experimented a lot with different pencils to see which one gave me the best skin color. And the ones that I found, if I combined Willow and Mid Vermilion, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but these two pencils combined had the best skin color, I thought. And so I wet my paper first because I didn't want it to be too dark, and then I picked up some of the color with my aqua painter. This is actually a Ranger water detailer brush. And so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of each, and it'll combine it for me automatically. And when I hit the paper in that water, it gives me a lot of control over where the color goes. So I'm starting my brush in the area that's going to be the most shaded, and then I move out to the lightest area. So just do a quick coloring of her legs, and then on the neck, and then I'll be done. I'm just darkening it up a little bit at the base of her arm. Now you'll see this pencil, it's all kind of messed up at the tip, and that's because I've used it as a background. And you see me do that a lot, where I'll pull color directly from the pencil and pull a lot of it and create a background with it. And I just wanted to show you that even though it doesn't look very good, it still functions perfectly. And it doesn't make the tip any less usable. And so for this one, I actually drew on the paper with the pencil, and now I'm adding my water. And I always start, you've seen me do this a million times, I start with in the white area, and I move to the colored area, and then I wipe the color off my brush and start over in the white area. Now I want a little bit more intense color, so I touched my water brush to the pencil and put it directly to the paper. This is Mustard and Oak, and these are the two colors I'm going to be using for her hair. So the first thing I did was I took the oak, and I'm just drawing along the same lines as her hair, just kind of adjacent to the hair strands. And then I filled in some of it with the mustard. And then I'm going to take my water brush, and I'm really not really going side to side, I'm really going up and down, because I don't want to mix the colors too much together. I want them to blend a little bit, but I definitely want you to be able to see the different lines of color. And then I wanted to darken up the top of her head a little bit, so I took the oak and I touched my aqua painter directly to the pencil to get some darker color. And now I'm going to take a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch fog cardstock by Simon Says Stamp. It's kind of a very, very light gray, and I'm going to put my circle in the lower right hand corner and run it through my big shot. And now I'm just putting my watercolor panel underneath so I can see where I can trim it off, so I place it in the right spot. And then I put it in my Misty, and I'm lining up the balloon string I already stamped on the watercolor paper so that it'll line up when I put my watercolor panel underneath this fog piece. I'm just going to put a post-it underneath there to make sure that it doesn't stamp on my foam. Now this Falling Rain background stamp is a little sensitive, and I'll show you the first time I did it. You'll see, you can see all the kind of little bits of embossing powder that got in between my raindrops, and that's because I put too much pressure. You really can't put too much pressure on this stamp. So I'm very lightly tapping it with my Versamark ink pad, so I don't get any in between the raindrops. And then when I put my fog cardstock on top, I'm going to lightly press it down with my finger. Normally I would like really press it down hard, put a piece of scratch paper on top, but I'm going to use very light pressure with this. And then I'm going to apply some clear embossing powder and take a paintbrush, and I'm going to look to see if I got any Versamark ink in between or any embossing powder that I could tell, and I'm going to kind of brush it off there. So I really did a good job actually this time. It really wasn't too bad. So I just brushed off a little bit of it, and then I heat set it. And I did notice, I'm going to show it to you, that I didn't get as much ink on some of the areas as I would have liked. So all I'm going to do is take my Versamarker, which is a Versamark pad in pen form, and I'm just going to fill it in. So I could go back and clear emboss on top of this. You can do that with the marker, but I just needed the cardstock to be a little bit darker. So I went ahead and just all the raindrops that didn't get completely covered with the VersaFine, why do I keep calling it VersaFine? The Versamark ink and the clear embossing powder, I just filled that in. So I forgot to stamp my heart balloon, so I'm going to stamp it the same way I did the others, is just VersaFine Black Onyx ink on my watercolor paper and then heat emboss it with some clear powder. This is Poppy Red. It's an Inktense pencil, and I'm using the same detailer brush I used earlier, and I'm just going to apply some water to it, and I just shaded parts on the side so it looked like it was a round balloon. And so I'm just going to spread the water out a little bit here, and then I'm going to cut it out with a scissor. Now I decided to put some dimensionals around the hole, and so I'm going to place it right on top, lining up my balloon string. And then there was a little place where I didn't get a dimensional because it was a square panel and I was putting it behind a round hole, so I just added one more dimensional sticker under there. And now I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So I put it on top of a Cricut sticky pad that you run through your Cricut machine. And this is 3 1/4 inches tall, and I'm using the I Miss You stamp first. I'm going to stamp that in the center. And then this stamp is from the Love Languages set by Simon Says Stamp. I forgot to show you that at the beginning, but I use this one stamp from the set all the time. I just love it. And I'm using Love Letter ink by Memento Luxe. So this is a pigment ink, and I'm going to do it a couple of times to make sure that I get good coverage. Now I'm going to line up my sentiment where I want it to be, right next to my circle. And then I'll put my circle die back in and just kind of wait till I hit that groove where the cut is made. And that's where I know I need to cut my sentiment. So I'm going to tape it right there into place and run it through my Big Shot machine. I wish I hadn't put the tape on that ink because it was still a little bit wet, but it didn't take any off that I had to restamp it. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this, and it should match up perfectly, and then I'll just trim off the excess from the back. Now I'm going to put some ATG tape runner on the piece that I've already popped up, and then I'll use some Scotch foam tape and also some dimensionals to pop up the rest of the card. And I'm going to put it on a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded. And then I'm going to add a few more dimensionals to my balloon. I'm going to pop it up off to the side here, and then finally I'm going to add some Wink of Stella shimmer to my balloon. And that is the card for today. You know, I really like this card. Most of the time I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But this one I really like. I was passing through my craft room and I kept looking at it thinking, gosh, that's just so cute. I made it for my daughter for sending to her when she's away at camp this summer. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.